If you've read the Harry Potter books, Hermione has bushy hair and big front teeth. You watch the movie, she's Emma Watson. This same thing has happened in almost every adaptation you've ever loved. Even normal films have gone from casting ordinary people to only casting supermodels, and we've all gone along with it for years. So why do filmmakers only pick attractive people? And why have we never said anything? The obvious answer is money. We all know it. Studios spend $100 million on a movie and need to recoup it, so they cast people who fill seats. Hot people fill more seats than not hot people, right? If only it were that clean. Researchers have actually checked. A well-known Harvard study from 2007 called The Power of Stars found that, yes, big names do add about $3 million to a movie's box office, though it sounds exactly like the kind of paper that would tell studios they're right. Then you read past the headline to the part where it says most of that revenue ends up eaten by the star's own salary, meaning they just shuffle the money from one pocket to another. A bigger meta-analysis of more than 60 studies found the same thing. Star power has an effect, but the studios are paying for most of it themselves. And money doesn't explain why this happens to indie adaptations and streaming shows that nobody's marketing. It happens when the BBC adapts a 19th century novel for the same audience that watched Pride and Prejudice in 1995. Their pattern doesn't break, even when the money pressure isn't there. The book's plain girl still walks on screen as a model. Money explains some of it, not all of it. Like, pull up a still of Bill Murray in Ghostbusters. He was 33 when he shot it. Now pull up Glenn Powell at 35 during Twisters or Top Gun. They're not the same kind of guy. Bill Murray is funny looking and magnetic, and you can imagine bumping into him at a hardware store. Glenn Powell is a Greek god. It's not a one-off. Dustin Hoffman was 29 when he shot The Graduate in 1967. He had a big nose and a face that wasn't built for movie star posters, and they cast him anyway. Those are the internet's opinions, by the way. I still think he's very much good looking. If you compare that to Timothée Chalamet, a 30-year-old being cast now, you can perhaps see that difference even clearer. The bar for what counts as attractive enough to lead a movie has been quietly raised, decade after decade. And the people who used to be called good-looking are now being cast as the dorky friend. Look at who Hollywood is willing to cast as the ugly character, the girl who gets the makeover in The Princess Diaries.
A princess.
The transformation was a haircut and contact lenses. Anne Hathaway was always Anne Hathaway. This is what they mean when they call casting realistic. The leading men look like Greek gods, and the supposedly plain ones look like Greek gods who lost their contacts. Hollywood's working definition of plain is what most of us would call good looking. Like, go back to the intro of casting Hermione Granger. The book says bushy hair, big front teeth, plain. You sit down with the casting director and ask to see your options. You'll see attractive girls. That's all you'll see. Did the casting director not read the book? No, he read it. So what's actually going on? Why did the kid with the actual bushy hair never make it into the room? Well, most probably she didn't sign with an agent who thought she was bookable. She didn't get the headshots that go out to casting agencies. By the time you, the director, are in the meeting, the pool you're looking at has already been filtered 4 or 5 times by people you'll never meet. The casting was essentially done before you started casting. It happened in 1,000 other rooms by people you'll never meet years before you ever read the script. So when a studio says, we couldn't find anyone who fit the description, it's technically true. The plain girls were never in the database to be cast in the first place. We've been watching the result of a filter we don't even know exists. But why? The casting choice doesn't even break the story. Take Stanley Yelnats in Holes. The book describes him as overweight, and a big chunk of his arc is the physical transformation that comes with digging holes in the desert sun. The movie casts Shia LaBeouf, who isn't overweight, and rebuilt the arc around what was already there. Stanley still becomes capable. He still stops being the cursed kid who loses to the world and starts being someone who can shape it. The film didn't need the starting weight to land any of that. Or Sherlock Holmes. Conan Doyle wrote him as tall and gaunt, with sharp hawk-like features and an intense look. We've had Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch play him recently, and both of them played a striking version of the character, not a gaunt one. The deductions still worked just fine. The brilliance was never riding on the gaunt face anyway. That's the easy case. Sometimes the appearance wasn't a core part of the movie, and the swap is harmless. The case that matters is the other one, where the appearance does matter and the swap quietly destroys the story. There's a Netflix movie that came out in 2024 called Uglies. The premise is a dystopian future where everyone at age 16 gets cosmetic surgery to become a pretty. Before the surgery, you're an ugly. The whole social order runs on the visible difference between the two. If you've read the book, you can already see where this is going. Joey King plays Tally, the protagonist, in her last few months as an ugly. Joey King is gorgeous. She has perfect skin and the kind of face that gets cast in rom-coms. There's nothing about her that visually reads as the kind of person this society would isolate and surgically rebuild. The film commits to the premise anyway. The uglies live separately, banned from the pretty zones. They talk about how excited they are to finally be beautiful one day, when they're already all beautiful. I mean, sure, beautiful in this in-universe world means loads of cosmetic surgery, but that still doesn't mean the actors pre-surgery should be stunning already. The audience was supposed to see two different kinds of people on screen, but there's only one kind here, with labels stuck on it. And Uglies isn't alone. Ready Player One did the same thing with Artemis, who, in the book, has a port wine stain across half her face that her entire romantic arc depends on. The film casts Olivia Cooke and gave her a faint birthmark you have to squint to see. Just read this Tumblr post to see how much impact it had on people that are also beautiful in their own way. They finally felt seen. Now imagine how many other people we can give this same feeling to if we cast more ordinary people into movies. Again, back to Hermione. Forget the casting for a second. In the books, when the trio is trapped in Devil's Snare, Hermione panics. She knows the spell that would save them, but she's frozen. Ron has to yell at her, asking her if she is a witch or not, which is when she snaps out of it. In the movie, she doesn't panic and just lights the fire. Book Hermione has a flaw. She's brilliant, but in a crisis she chokes. That flaw is part of why we love her. She gets to grow past it. I feel like the line of her being a witch or not was also a small jab at her less beautiful appearance in the books. The movie smoothed it out, both in appearance and character flaw. It happens to her everywhere. Movie Hermione delivers without ever really panicking. She's the answer key with a wand. There's no kid figuring things out anymore. The same thing happens to Tyrion Lannister. In the books, he's smart and funny, yes, but he's also drunk most of the time and morally slighting. He sleeps with prostitutes and tells himself one of them, Shay, actually loves him. Then when the fantasy collapses completely and he finds her in Tywin's bed after her testimony against him, he kills her. In the show, the same scene becomes self-defense. Shay lunges for a knife and he has no choice. He apologizes to her body afterwards. The show couldn't let its fan favorite be a murderer, so it wrote one out of him. Most of the time, Hollywood prettifies a character's appearance. It smooths the personality, pretty face, clean character. We've been talking about how characters look. The bigger question is which characters Hollywood is willing to put on screen at all. This hurts most when it happens to a romance. Most romance novels work the same way. The girl is plain, she knows it. She thinks no one will ever look at her the way the popular girls get looked at. Then a boy who matters sees her, and I mean really sees her, and picks her. That's why we read the book. That's why we buy the movie ticket. Movies based on romance novels mess this up almost every time. Take Twilight. Bella Swan is described in the book as plain. She trips over her own feet. She tries to sit in the back of the classroom and not be seen. Then, in the movie, she's Kristen Stewart? When Edward looks at her in the cafeteria, of course he looked. So did every other guy in there. Lou Clark in Me Before You is the same. The book describes her as a little weird looking, the kind of girl you walk past in the street and forgot you saw. The whole story is that Will Traynor finally sees her when no one else has. Then the movie casts Emilia Clarke, who is Daenerys on Game of Thrones. You don't walk past Emilia Clarke. Nobody does. That's what these books promise. The girl no one notices finally getting noticed. The promise needs her to actually not be noticed in the first place. When you put a famous, beautiful actress in the part, the story stops working. The character was supposed to be invisible, but the actress made that impossible. But are the studios even to blame? No, really. In 2021, HBO announced that Bella Ramsey would play Ellie in The Last of Us. The internet had a meltdown. People said their face was the wrong shape and their eyes were the wrong size. There were memes calling the show The Chopped of Us. Comment sections filled up with, "Not my Ellie." By the time season 2 aired, fans review bombed the show before they had seen it because they did not like how Bella Ramsey looked. And Bella Ramsey earned that role, and acted it brilliantly. The whole campaign was about how their face looked, and we ran that campaign ourselves. Every comment, every meme came from a regular person at home, deciding the actor wasn't pretty enough. We're doing the studio's work for them now. Studio executives watch what happens when they cast someone slightly outside the standard, and they learn. Next time, they cast pretty. The studios couldn't even change this if they wanted to. They keep paying attention to which faces the internet rewards and which faces the internet punishes. Every casting decision is shaped by us, in real time, every time we open a comment section. Add up enough of those decisions and whole kinds of stories disappear. There are stories Hollywood used to make all the time that nobody really makes anymore. The Ugly Duckling, the transformation arc, Beauty and the Beast. The point of every one of these stories is that someone is loved when they don't fit the standard. The point requires a protagonist who actually doesn't fit the standard. Take She's All That. The film cast Rachel Lee Cook in glasses and a paint-spattered jumpsuit, and we were supposed to be shocked when she came down the stairs in a slip dress.
Lady Boggs, get your cute butt down here!
You wear those shoes and I will wear that dress. Oh.
It was the same face the whole time. The transformation was a costume change. These are some of the oldest stories we have. We can't tell them honestly anymore because we won't cast the lead they need. Except, sometimes we do. In 2017, Netflix made a show called Anne with an E, based on the Anne of Green Gables books. The novels describe Anne as skinny and awkward, with red hair and freckles. Most actresses cast as Anne in past adaptations have been pretty in a soft way, freckles painted on and the awkwardness dialed down. The showrunner ran an open casting call across 3 continents and saw just about 1,800 to 2,000 girls. She picked Amy Beth McNulty, who actually looked like Anne in the books. Skinny, freckled, plain, with that intense stare the character has on every page. The show was a hit and ran 3 seasons. The fan base still defends it online years later. Or look at Stranger Things. The Duffer Brothers cast Millie Bobby Brown as 11 and asked to shave her head at the age of 11. Her parents were terrified. The Duffers showed her a photo of Charlize Theron in Mad Max to convince her she'd still get cast in things later. She did it. The shaved head is the iconic image of the show. If the Duffers had cast pretty and given her a wig, 11 would have been smaller. A kid who escaped a lab needed to look like one. These exceptions prove studios can do this when they want to. They just hardly ever want to. Now, if you ask my opinion, I'd say mostly they just don't want to. 20 years ago, things were different. Studios cast hot people in lead roles because hot people sold tickets, but the supporting cast looked like real people. The ugly characters were ordinary-looking actors, and the plain ones were plain. Movies looked like life. Then the bar moved up and the pool got smaller. The studios stopped just changing how characters look and started smoothing out their personalities too. Pretty face comes with a clean character and more. Romance broke first. We started doing the studio's work for them, and the whole categories of stories stopped being possible. Add it up. What you have is 20 years of films quietly teaching us a rule. Only attractive people are worth being. Movies will keep making this trade. The cost lands on us, on what we think we're allowed to want and who we think gets to fall in love. We learned this so slowly we never noticed the lesson. We just absorbed it. The girl we are when we look in the mirror and don't like what we see doesn't get the love story we'd recognize. 20 years from now, the kids growing up on these movies are going to wonder why nobody around them looks like the heroes they grew up watching. Some of them are going to look in the mirror and decide the problem is them. If you want to see what this rule does once it leaks into how we actually fall in love, watch this video next. Same idea, different angle. The films we don't even realize are training us.